First, Mcfarlane gave us Movie Maniacs. Then NECA introduced us to cult classics. Soon after, Mezco continued on with Cinema of Fear, and now Trick or Treat Studios is releasing Scream Greats Series 1. And today we are going to be having a look at a lesser-known character named Jacob Atkins from a little film called Candy Corn. First, we're going to have a look at the packing, which, just like the Michael Myers figure, is very simple and very reminiscent of the packing of those early Movie Maniacs figures. You've got the Scream Greats logo at the top, Candy Corn and Jacob Atkins at the bottom, and then on the back we've got some behind-the-scenes shots from the movie, a picture of the figure, the Scream Greats logo again, and the logo for Trick or Treat Studios. Now, let's get this unleashed from its plastic prison. And once again, not a single twist tie in sight. Just like when I reviewed the Michael Myers figure the other day, we have now got another storm brewing outside. Not quite as bad. Last time it was 75-mile-an-hour winds. Now it's 65-mile-an-hour winds. So I wanted to warn you, you might hear that in the background a little bit. But anyways, Candy Corn. Not a well-known horror movie, but a pretty decent little indie slasher flick. I watched it again recently, and it was surprisingly still pretty good. Not great, it kind of reminds me of how Halloween would feel if it didn't have John Carpenter's score backing it up, but it was still a fairly decent indie horror movie. And the design for Jacob Atkins I thought was really, really good, especially the mask. And now Tots has come along and brought us a toy of a character I didn't think would ever get a figure. As for articulation, pretty much the same as Michael Myers. Very limited, only 5 points of articulation here. We've got a ball joint on the head, and there isn't really a lot of movement that you get out of that. Also, the shoulders are on a ball joint, and then we have a swivel in each wrist. They only move a little bit. This one seems to be kind of stiff, not really moving, and then solid from the waist down. But like I said in my last video, I grew up with Movie Maniacs, so limited posability doesn't really bother me. Just give it a nice pose, then it's going to go on the shelf and it's just going to sit there. As for accessories, he comes with only one. He has this pumpkin pail that is filled with blood, guts, and candy corn and has an actual twine handle to it. Only problem with that is the handle is so thin, it's okay when it's hanging at its side, but if you raise his hand up just a little bit, it'll fall right out. So that is a slight design flaw with that. It would have been better if it was probably plastic, but that's alright, I'll just keep it down at his side, and that'll be okay. As for the sculpt, it's pretty good. Got him kind of put into a slight walking pose there, so he's able to balance a little bit better than the Michael Myers is. Only thing I would say is the hands are pretty gargantuan. Those are some pretty big hands. I think they're bigger than the head. But other than that, I'd say, yeah, it looks pretty good. And the paint job on it is pretty good too, but the mask does look kind of chunky. Seems like it could have just done a nice wash over that to fill in all those fine wrinkles in the forehead and around the eyes, but it looks like the only ones that were really filled in were with like a small brush on the cheekbones and the nose and the mouth. In fact, I think you can see in there it's kind of dark, but the eyes are a little bit wonky too. But I mean, the paint job is alright. It's not as good as Michael Myers. The simplicity of that really worked. Here, there was more detail to fill in, and it's kind of meh. It looks a little bit muddy. But from the neck down, I think it looks pretty great. And last up, I just want to bring in the Michael Myers figure we had a look at last time. Just want to remind you, these are not in the 7-inch scale, these are in an 8-inch scale. So they're about 8 inches tall, roughly. A little bit bigger than normal figures. Out of these two figures, I would definitely rank Michael Myers as the better figure. The sculpt and the paint job really nailed how he looked in that first movie. But Jacob Atkins still looks pretty good. And it is a figure that I never thought that we would get ever. So just the fact that this was even released is a treat. And now I think that's going to wrap things up for today. Hope you enjoyed this quick video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, give me a thumbs down. Subscribe if you don't subscribe to me already. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of this figure and the other figures in the line. Do whatever you want to do. But as always, I wish you pleasant days and spooky nights. Until next time.